This
sir.
conference
Good
will
evening,
now
sir.
be recorded.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, it got a little late today because of some work delay. Yeah. Let's go ahead. So in the last session, we were discussing about SAP methodology and new implementation. We have finished all the SAP methodology. So today we'll continue with the support project overview. So once the implementation is done and the project is handed over to the support partner, then this project will be maintained by the support partner. So let's see what is our role in support project. This is very important, and whatever we are learning here today in S4HANA also, this is the same method. There is no change in that. Okay. So whatever we are discussing today, it is applicable in the S4HANA as well. So once we are done with the implementation, then the project is handed out to the customer. If it is implementation plus maintenance, then as I mentioned, majority of the projects would be 1 + 3 years. Let's assume that this project is pretty old even. Okay, it is pretty old. In any project, let's say if you're in the support, your roles will be different. Implementation roles are different and support roles are different. So let's see what we do in the support project. First thing, why we need support. Let's try to understand first. Issue. What is issue? Anyone? What's an issue?
Which is deviating as per the standard process.
Right. Issue is, it has a standard definition now in SAP. Issue in SAP is nothing but whichever stops the customer's as usual business process. That is called as issue. Right? So whichever is stopping the customer's as usual process, we call it as an issue. So issues will be occurring in which server? Anyone? Issues will happen in which server?
Production server.
Production server. Right? In the production server. And who will face the issues in the real time?
End users.
End users. Right? So end users in their day-to-day transactions, they will be facing issues. So whenever an end users face an issue, what they do? They log this issue to core user. Why? Because core user is a senior person. He was part of the project. He was a part of testing, requirement gathering, and he was there in the training and testing in every phase, right? So core user is much knowledgeable than the end users. So whenever an issue, that means a core user, end user faces an issue, that issue would be logged to core user. See, the issues can be as silly as typo errors. What is this? Anyone? This is a 0 or O, right? So issues could be as silly as this, or this is I, or it is L. So typo errors are also issues. So issues could be as simple as this, a typo error, or issues can be as complicated as like whatever stops the customer business, and they can lose in $1 million, right? So whenever you end user face an issue, that issue would be logged to core user. So core user at his capacity will go through the issue, and if he could fix that issue, that means if it's a typo error or some basic things, what if they can fix, then core user will guide the end user. But if core user realize that this issue has to be solved only by consultants, that means if the issue has to be addressed only in the dev system, who will have access to the dev system? Anyone?
Consultants.
Only consultants will have.
Consultant.
Only
Core
consultants will
users
have
and
dev system, right? So if the core user thinks that this issue has to be solved only in the dev system, that means obviously this has to be logged to consultants, right? So what other issues can be? Okay, this is one issue I mentioned, but what other issues can be? I'll tell you one very tricky issue actually. The issues can be anything, hundreds, thousands of issues. We have like hundreds of issues documented with solution and everything we have. So, but I'll tell you one very crucial issue and how tricky the issues could be. See, there is a concept in SD called a shipping point from where we deliver the goods. We'll learn in the subsequent sessions. Shipping point in SAP SD is nothing but SAP SD means it is in the logistics execution module. So shipping point is from where we deliver the goods to customer. We also call it a departure zone. So how this shipping point comes into the sales document, that is basing on some parameters. There are some parameters like shipping condition, loading group, and plant. These three parameters will influence which shipping point should come into the sales order. Okay. Until 2014, how many states were there in India?
28.
28,
After 2014,
29.
29 in
39,
Telangana included.
right? Telangana was added, right? So in a project, they have done an enhancement that the shipping point should be depending upon the state. So whatever is perfectly working until 2014, maybe June 2nd, it stopped working from June 2nd, 2014. We don't have a manual. It's an old project, very big project. We don't have a manual for this. We are checking in all the standard possible configurations, but we are not able to find out what is the issue. Late because we don't have manual. See, the biggest challenge or the pain you will face in a support project is lack of documentation. Because first 3 years, let's say TCS has been done. Next 3 years, this project has given to IBM. Another 3 years, maybe, or 5 years, or 7 years given to Capgemini. So as it flows, documentations will just go away, right? So the biggest pain you'll face in when you're in a support project is lack of documentation. So without a documentation, how would you know such an enhancement has happened? So we don't have a document, so we don't know this enhancement has been done in that project. So we have checked every possible configuration, but we are clueless what happened. Later, there is enhancement. So we have gone to the debugging and we have checked it, and there we have found that they have done some enhancement and added state as one parameter, right? So that's what the issues could be. I'll show you hundreds of issues now anyway. So the issues could be such a complicated, pretty simple thing actually, right? If I know this, we could do whatever we want, right? So it could be a typo error, or it could be something enhancement issues. This kind of issues it could be. So core user, if they feel that this issue has to be solved only by the consultants, and in the dev server, that will be logged to the consultant, right? This is how an issue would be generated. Mark my word, this will be a definite question in the interview. Okay, so how this communication will happen? Okay, this communication is nothing for us, but how this communication happens, that is through ticketing tools. There are ticketing tools which will be a platform to communicate. That means, let's say you take Amazon, you take Swiggy, wherever you have some issue, what you do, you just log a complaint, right? And there will be a further conversation on that, right? That is ticketing tool, right? Some companies even still follow email to communicate, but ticketing tool. Very recent interview. I don't know whether I showed you in this batch or not. They asked a question: what ticketing tool you are using in the project? Okay, we'll discuss what are the ticketing tools. But yeah, so how do we communicate? This communication happens through ticketing tool. Very frequent questions in the interview. That is, what is ticket life cycle, or what is your activity in the support project? Whatever the question they ask, answer is same. Okay, let me also tell you one scenario. One person in Chennai, HCL, he got a job. And they asked only very hardly 5 questions they asked, and he got placed. And for all the 5 questions, his answer was same. You know, for all the 5 questions, answer was same, but he got placed. So when it comes to the support project, your presence of mind plays a very big role. It's not possible for you to have answer for every question. Your presence of mind is very, very, very important when it comes to the support project questions. So what they asked this guy that 5 or 6 questions is, let's say they asked, did you work done any gap? He told yes. And they asked him what you are doing yesterday. These are very frequent questions in the interviews. What you are doing yesterday? He told that I was working on that gap. They asked one more question, that what is the toughest issue you faced in your lifetime? He told the same thing. I told you, right? The gap, what I'm working now, that is my toughest ticket in the lifetime. You see, for all the questions, answer is same. He got placed in HCL with 12 lakh package. Right? So your presence of mind plays a very good role in this particular support project. Okay. So let's see how this project works. Support project, or ticketing cycle, support project, ticket life cycle, or day-to-day activity, whatever the name it is, it's the same. Okay, there is no change here. Right. The next, okay, let's see. This also happens the same way as implementation project. This also happens the same way as support project. That means yeah. So you could see here now these companies are called as support partners, and IBM, Accenture, Capgemini, the same process goes on. You have BDMs and pre-sales who will be reaching to the client and convince the client. So for our discussion purpose, let's say this project has been given to IBM. So if it's a new implementation project, we write a SAP methodology, right? We have a SAP methodology. But here, what we do is we write a SLA document, service level agreement, or some businesses also call it as OLA, organization level agreement. Okay, SLA or OLA, whatever the name the business gives, yeah, it's the same, one and same actually, right? So what is service level agreement? See, this service level agreement is not standard to SAP. See, what we talked about SAP methodology, right? So SAP methodology is specific to SAP, that is used by only SAP. But this particular SLA, it's a standard in the industry. Okay, it's a standard in the industry. In any support industry, it is BPO, KPO, you name it, anything. This is standard. They write SLA. In this agreement, everything would be mentioned. What is the support tenure? What are the supports you will be providing? What is the levels of support? What is the escalations? And everything you will be mentioning in this particular support in the SLA. So a very important question would be asked in the interview, that is, as a consultant, what information we should know out of SLA? Okay, out of this SLA, what is the information as a consultant we should know? Okay, we'll see that later. What information we should know, right? So this is how the project starts. Here also we'll have kickoff meeting, and you will be tagged to the project only through kickoff meeting. Kickoff meeting has an agenda, and here they'll share you the agreement period in 2 years or 3 years or whatever, and you'll know various details actually here from the SLA, right? So let's go back to the process and see what is the life cycle or ticketing cycle, what are the name we call. Customer, that is nothing but our core user. When they face a issue, they log issue to the consultant. How do they log the issue to the consultants? That is, you see here in the two colors, you see the through ticketing tool. Here the ticketing tool is Bugzilla. It could be any ticketing tool. There are various ticketing tools in the market like Remedy, Perigny, Jira, ServiceNow. There are various ticketing tools. So very recent this question was asked in the interview, what ticketing tool you are using in the project. Okay. So this guy told Remedy, and they asked like, for all the 4 years experience you are using Remedy? He said yes, and that's okay. They're convinced with that. There is no further question anyway. Yeah. So the issue will be logged into the ticketing tool by the customer. That is nothing but core users. Usually in the support projects, we'll have support coordinators. These support coordinators is responsible to handle between the client and consultants. They take the tickets and they assign it to the consultants, right? So the support coordinator assigning the ticket to respective module consultant. So when a ticket is assigned to a consultant, what is the first activity you do as a consultant when a ticket is assigned to you? So these all are interview questions, whatever I'm mentioning. As a consultant, what is your first activity when when a ticket is assigned to you? What is your first activity? The activity is to acknowledge. You see, clock starts. When a ticket is assigned to you, a clock starts. And what is the first activity you do? You acknowledge it, right? So what is this acknowledgement, or what is this clock starts? Tickets are time bound. Okay, all the issues are time bound. Okay, so there is no standard terminology in the industry. You could use any terminology, but you fix to something today itself. In some businesses, they call it as CVRT, so that they call it as S1, S2, S3, or some projects they call it as priority, so they call it as P1, P2, P3. Some projects they call it as level 1, level 2, level 3. It could be anything, but you fix to something so that you can tell the same in the interviews. And issues are time bound, and issues are by industry. A issue in the airline industry is not the same in the cement industry, or a issue in the automobile industry is not same in the telecom industry, right? So issues are by industries. It's not that issue should have the same time in every case. Not possible. There is no chance that your network can go down for next 12 hours, right? Can your mobile network can go down for next 12 hours? Not possible, right? Just imagine. Or else you cannot stop flight because of it cannot issue a boarding pass, right? It has to clear its you cannot stop the flight for the purpose that there is no boarding pass is issued. There is error in issuing boarding pass, right? So every business has its own kind of issues actually that has to be addressed, right? So CVRT 1, response time. You see here, this response is nothing but acknowledgement time, because you'll not be in front of system every time, right? You might be in meetings, or you might be in the lunch time. It could be anything. So you get some acknowledgement time to respond to the issue. Once a ticket is assigned to you, what is your first activity? That is, you have to acknowledge it, the response. Then solution. CVRT 1 issue, let's say 8 hours. CVRT 2 issue, 1 business day. And these are response times. It's not mandatory that every business should have CVRT level 4. Some business may have only level 2s, right? This is on the regular days, and these are on call hours. That is on Saturday, Sunday, or in the holidays kind of thing, because we need 24/7 support. Okay, so this is the timelines actually. So whenever an issue is assigned to you, clock starts. Okay, clock starts, and you have, let's say, 30 minutes or 40 minutes to acknowledge it. So what is the first activity when a ticket is assigned to you? That is, you have to acknowledge the issue. Right? The clock starts. Then what you do? In the interviews also they ask this question, that is, let's say level 1 issue, how many hours it will take for us to solve? Anyone? You can, as per this scenario what we have just seen, if it's a level 1, how much time it is allowed?
8
8
hours.
hours.
Level 2,
One business day.
24 hours, right? So what users do is, to get the things done fast, what they do is, level 2 issue, they'll mark it as level 1, because level 2 you'll take 24 hours, but level 1 you do it in 8 hours, right? So what they do, they mark the issue with the wrong priority so that you'll be fixing the issue quick. So you see here, once you acknowledge the issue, what you do, or in interviews, if they ask a question, if user marks the issue with wrong priority, what you do? You should not accept. You should not accept it. Okay. You should tell the user, this issue doesn't comes under this category and I cannot accept it. Please change the category. Then only we can accept it. You should not. That's what you're doing here. You see, you're checking whether it's a level 2, level 3, or level 4. You're checking here. Once acknowledgement is done, then you check whether the issue is marked with the correct priority or not. If it's marked with the wrong priority, you reject it and tell the user that mark with the correct priority. Then only you can accept. But how do you know whether this issue comes into this category or not or anything? That is, I mentioned right earlier one question, what information as a consultant we should know out of SLA? So what information we should know out of SLA? This is the information we should know out of SLA. Okay, that is what is the levels of tickets, what is the turnaround time, and many things, other things. So these are the things which you should know out of the SLA. So now let me show you where we have this all tickets and everything. So in the final docs, whatever I sent through G Drive, there is a zip file called as tickets. And when you open this, you see these all documents. And here where we have the issues all mentioned. Okay. So if I go with the first document, this is very important document, but please don't touch these documents now. You need to refer these documents only after your complete training is done. You don't need them today. Okay. So if you see here, this is not a consultant level document. It is bit above consultant lead and above consult level of document. So first you could see here various modules, but we need only SD. You can apply a filter and just check only for SD issues. And you can also see here whether this issue is a standard issue or a customized issue. Okay, whether this issue is a standard issue or a customized issue. Then this issue categorization, whether this issue is a master data issue or a process issue or an output issue or a configuration issue or a development issue. You see, there is various categories, right? You have to pick at least 3 issues from every category. Process issues 3, output issues 3, configuration issues 3, at least master data 3. From every category, you need to pick 3 issues and you need to be ready. In the interview, if they ask any issue, they'll definitely ask you a question. Can you tell me what is the tickets you worked in the last week? Or can you tell me one toughest ticket what you worked? Or can you tell me one output issue or one master data issue? Anything it could be. Or can you tell me one high priority issue? They can ask any question, but you should be ready with these things. Just you need to pick up 3 issues or 5 issues from every category. And what is the issue breakdown? What is the issue? What is the bug causing the issue? You see here, there are many issues. Process issues. User want to change the journal terms and conditions in the order acknowledgement. User want to change terms and conditions. So why this was an issue? It is mentioned which transaction they can address. And the most important is whether what is this issue? High priority, medium priority, or low priority. That means L1, L2, L3, or S1, S2, S3, whatever it is. Whether it comes under medium priority, whether it comes under critical, that is high priority, or there are some low priority issues also. Every category, that means 3 high priorities, 3 medium priorities, 3 low priorities. You need to be ready with this, all issues ready. So in interviews, if they ask a question, you could answer them, right? So these are a couple of issues actually, but as I mentioned, Please don't look into these documents now. But be informed that these are documents already available with you. Only when you're done with the training and you know all the concepts, then you go through the documents, you know what's happening there, right? You see, this is one issue. I'm trying to place a stock transfer order to material from one plant to another plant. What is the issue? System says that check plant sales organization extension. What is the industry practice, the solution? What is the best practices you have to follow to fix the issue? It's a medium issue. And what is the issue you offered? The solution, sorry. What is the industry best practice to follow? And what is the solution you have offered? Whether this issue is a one-time or recurring, right? So there are hundreds of issues, tickets, whichever is ready with you. Once you're done with the training, please be ready with the 3 or 5 issues from every category so that in the interview they ask, you can just tell them. Okay. So once the issue is assigned to you, the first is you acknowledge. Then you check whether the issue is marked with the wrong, right priority or not. So if it's assigned with the right priority, you just go ahead. If it's not, you should not accept that, and you should tell the user, I cannot accept this, it's marked with the wrong priority. But how do you know that? That is out of SLA. This is what will be written in the SLA. Says that master data issues comes in the least priority. Process issues comes in the medium priority. Right? This is how it will be written in the SLA. That's what the information as a consultant we should know out of SLA. So once, okay, the issue is marked with the right priority, then you start working on the issue. And while working on the issue, you might need more information to understand what is the issue or to better fix it. When you want more information, then what you do, you log that into the ticketing tool, clock stops. Okay. Until the customer provides you the clarification or more information, clock stops. And once the user provides you the more information, then clock starts. Where is this issue? In which server the issue is happening? Anyone?
Production server.
The production server. As a consultant, do we have access to production server?
No.
No.
Right? Right? And how would you know? Then how would you, what is the issue? Right? How would you know,
No.
like, what is the issue and how it has happened? Right? How would you know that? So, in the interviews also they ask this question. In which server you analyzed the issue? Okay, in which server you analyze the issue? Or else they may ask you, like, do you have access to the production server? Okay, they can ask you a question. So, in which server this has happened? This has happened in production server, right? Do we have access to the production server? No, we don't have
No.
access to the production server. But in the real time, what happens is they'll give a display access. You cannot create or change anything, but you have a display access to this server so that you can just check what's the error and why it was an error. You can check that. Okay. Or else sometimes what happens is if they don't give you this display access, what you could do is usually you will connect it remotely to the core user server, that is core user system, and we analyze the issue. In interviews, if they ask a question, do you have access to the production? Then you can tell them that we have a display access. And that's where you analyze the issue. Right? So if you need more information on in fixing the issue or understand the issue, you log this into the ticketing tool, and once the information is provided, then only clock starts. You work on the issue and you don't need any other information. Then you advance to testing for the core user, and core user has to test and close the ticket. Every ticket has to be closed. It cannot be open. Let's say you have an issue and you raise the issue on Amazon. Let's say Amazon or Flipkart, anywhere you have issue and you raise the issue. But your issue was fixed and there was no activity on that particular issue. What happens? Anyone? maybe after 7 days, you will receive an email or a message saying that as there was no activity on this issue for the last or past 7 days, so we are closing this issue. Issues cannot be open. Issues has to be closed. So once the customer approves, customer has to close the issue, right? This is the ticketing cycle, ticketing process, ticketing life cycle, whatever you call. This is how it works. But you see here, there is something called as continued. What is this continued? We already analyzed here and we have proceeded with the fixing of issue. But there is something continued here and it says level 4. It need not to be level 4, it could be also level 3. What is this? These are change requests. We discussed, right? At the time of implementation, it's not possible to accommodate every configuration or development. So first we go live and then or in between, if customer is asking for new change or something, new configuration, anything new customer is asking in the support project, we handle it as change request. We call it as change request. This is change request. For this, we need to give budget, functional mandates, technical mandates, and everything. You see, estimated efforts, customer has to approve, then we write FS, give it to the technical consultant, and technical consultant will develop it. So any new thing what customer was asking in the support project, which is not there in the existing system or it's not there at the time of implementation, that we call it as change request. When you get a change request, then we give this particular details to the customer and customer has to approve it, right? That is what the continued 4 is, right? Customer will have more privilege. Customer, if there is no issue is not solved, they can escalate the issues. Okay, so level 1, level 2, level 3 managers kind of thing. You could see level 1 can be a program man lead, and level 2, level 3, level 4 can be a delivery head. The highest level, your customer has a privilege to like escalate the issues if it's not solved within the time. Even though it is solved, if they have something, they can escalate. Right? This is all about the support project. So whatever we have discussed, a write-up has been given here, everything. Like what is how do you know when you are tagged to support project? How do you know like how to support this project that you will receive a KT session? How you will receive a KT session? You remember we discussed about the config documents. So you'll get the config documents and there will be some 1 week or 10 days KT session. Some companies like TCS will also ask for reverse KT or client round. We call it as once after reverse KT, then you start working on the issues. So ticketing cycle we discussed. There is something called a status of ticket. This is very, very important in interviews also they ask this question. When a ticket is first assigned to you, the status of the ticket is open. And once you acknowledge the ticket, you change the status from open to being processed. And if you need any information in between, then you change it from being processed to waiting for information. Once you receive the information, again, you change it from waiting for information to being processed. Once you are done with this, you ask customer to test it and confirm and waiting for confirmation. Customer will test it, give a confirmation and close the ticket. Status is also important in interviews also you may face a question. So what documents we prepare in the support project? There are two kinds of documents which we can prepare. One is issue resolution document and the other one is RCA documents, root cause analysis documents. Right? These are the two documents we'll be preparing in the support project. Right? So these are what the activities in the support project what we do. Right? So this is what for today, support project overview. So any questions, please go ahead. So we are done with the general discussion of implementation and support project overview. So tomorrow we'll start our first topic of SAP SD, which is enterprise structure. So that we will start from tomorrow. Go ahead, any questions?
while actually working on that level 2 or level 3 ticket, client has actually given complete information. And when we fix that issue and that issue is solved, based on that, it's occurred on any other issue. So do we need to ask to raise another ticket, or in the same ticket we need to work on? Another
Because some projects go by issue based. That means they charge ticket based. It's not a contract project. If it's a freelance consultant, independent consultants like me, we do work on independent tickets. If it is the same thing, how would it work, right? It will not work. So that will be a separate issue. So if there is some companies, like they have very few issues in a week, hardly 2 or 3, or maybe 1. They cannot afford going for the implementation or support partners. So they outsource it to the independent consultants. Even for a typo error also we charge. Okay. If a issue is logged, $100 is billed. Issue is logged. Then basing on the level of the issue, the quotation will be sent to the customer. But if user logs a issue to an independent consultant, $100 is charged. If not, you know, right, what happens? So that if users will be cautious before they logging the issue. They cannot just log the typo errors kind of things. This happened. Typo error, this happened actually. Even for that, we have charged $1,200. Because to tell that, we have taken 2 days to the customer. We know it, what is the issue, but we have taken 2 days for that. And for every day, it is close to $500 what we charge. Yeah.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
When actually we have as levels like level 3 as a 1 day like that. After given confirmation, also if you are not able to fix in within 1 day.
Yes.
So what type of effect would be?
If issue is not solved within the time, there will be charges. You have to pay return to the client. That is written in the SLA. Okay, maybe 1 or 2 hours buffer will be given. If it is not even solved in that day, whatever the dollar billing you will be getting, maybe half of that you need to pay back to the customer. It's not that you can take time. So that is the ticket time, 8 hours you cannot solve, maybe half an hour or maybe 1 hour. But from the 10th hour, half of or equivalent or double the amount, that is up to the agreement what we write. We have to pay to the client. Okay. That's a standard practice in the business.
Good evening.
Yeah, Mandar.
Mandar here.
Yeah, Mandar,
actually, I didn't have access to videos and documents as well.
I hope you are from the previous
If you could
Mandar,
send it.
You should have. You already have all those things.
Yes. Actually, I have told you that my hard disk got crashed and I couldn't record it.
Okay. Just give
and
me
the Google Drive which I couldn't access.
Sure. Just give me a date.
So I tried recording
it. I'm a little occupied with other things. Just give me a date time. By this weekend, I'll definitely share you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Actually,
By
I
this
tried
weekend,
recording it, but couldn't.
No, don't worry. By this weekend, I'll send it. A little occupied with some issues, so I'm not able to do it. But this weekend, definitely I'll share it.
Fine. Videos and documents as well. Yeah, both.
Everything I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
For priority 1, or
I didn't receive the S/4HANA video.
I'll make a note, Bruno. I hope you texted me. I'll check. I remember I sent, but I'll just check and update you. Okay.
Yes, sir. There is a severity 1, 2, 3 according to our problem. So can I know the timeline of severity? Who will define? Customer or
business
consultant?
Business consultant cannot fix, right? If consultant, I can take a offer of even 10. Business will decide. They know the criticality of the seriousness of the issues. Business will tell.
Yesterday's class video is not available.
Yeah, I'll upload it now. Just check in half an hour because I was a little occupied with some issue today, so I could not do it. I'll just do it in the next half an hour.
Yeah. And when we can get the vendor to instruct, because weekends will be
What is that?
to install
What is that?
the server.
Server, I'll send it. So tomorrow we are starting our first concept of SD, and over the weekend you can get the server access. So from Monday we can start practicing on the server. From Monday everything would be practical. It's everything on the system.
Oh.
Okay.
Sir, can you send me the S4 HANA and documents and video? I didn't receive the video.
I already mentioned right now. I made a note. You had texted me. I remember I have sent, but anyway, let me check and I'll update you back. If it's not shared, I'll send it to you back. Okay. I'll share it, Pranav.
Can you send me again?
Yeah, sure. I'll send it definitely.
Praveen, when there is a change request, so this has to be looked into only by the technical consultant, right?
No. Change request could be anything. It could be a development or it could be a configuration. It could be anything. Anything new customer is asking is a change request. It could be a development or it could be a configuration. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions, anyone?
What should we do if we get a change request? Do we need to, contact
It is
some TL or
no. See,
we can?
no. Change request is customer asking for some new configuration. That means customer is asking to create a new shipping point. Okay. Our customer is asking to create a new distribution channel. This is not there at the time of implementation. Let's say at the time of implementation, customer has given only 3 distribution channels. But now customer is asking to add 4th distribution channel. That is not an issue, right? Adding a new distribution channel is not an issue. Customer is asking for a new provision of some configuration. So that we cannot call it as an issue. Customer wants something new. Then we call it as a change request. And basing on that, what is the level of configuration customer is asking? Basing on that, we give a budget and tell customer this is a timeline it will take, and this is the budget. We take approval and then we provision that configuration. That is not an issue. Customer asking for something new is not an issue.
Okay. Okay, got it. Thanks.
So we'll call it
So
a
the
data. Go ahead.
Just one question. So the issue is resolved in the development server by and to understand or analyze the issue, the production server is used. Am I
Yeah,
right?
because see, we need to know, right, why it was the issue. If everything is functioning well, it was tested, transported, and everything is functioning well, all of a sudden, why then it will be an issue, right? So to more analyze, we log into development server as a display mode or log into the core user system and we check it. Certain times what happens is they don't give access to the production system, right? In the environment, we'll have pre-production system, a mirror copy of production system. So some companies give access to the pre-production system. We log in there and we check why it was an issue. Okay. So to better understand, then only we log into that. If you know what is the issue or why it is the issue, you don't need to go to the production system. Okay. whatever we discussed today in the S4HANA also, it is the same. If they ask in the interviews, in S4HANA support, because the recent project now in our resume, we'll put it as S4HANA support. Whatever we discussed today, the same issue, same thing, everything applicable in S4HANA as well. Okay. Be prepared well. You can face at least 2 to 3 questions on what we discussed today in real time. Okay, so we'll call it a day today and catch up tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll continue with enterprise structure. That is our SD first concept. So good everyone, and catch up tomorrow. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.